So I've been thinking a lot about goal setting, productivity, career, love life, spiritual journeys. I've been thinking of all of these things in my life, and I've been thinking about understanding how to properly, number one, define what goals I should have, and then set those goals, and then further reach those goals. So one of the things that I've been thinking about is, how do we define success, especially in terms of career, finance, that type of thing. And in my thought, I'm, just going over the thought in my head, like, okay, is this something that's universal where we think about it across the board and that everybody should be trying to reach, some universal goal? Mm-hmm. Or is it something that a man or a woman decides for themselves? Or, and how should that process look? Because I know that, especially in America, we've been conditioned to a place where, for most of us, there's never enough, right? So whether we're talking about our food, whether we're talking about our money, whether we're talking about, abusing other substances, whatever, we live in a time and a place where we don't know how to really say enough is enough. So I was watching a video, it just happened, and I was telling Gary about all of these wild synchronicities that have been kind of happening. I was watching a video recently where he wasn't directly talking about it, but he brought it up, and he was talking about how we tend to move the goal line constantly on our own selves. Mm-hmm. For instance, if I start a business and I say I want to make $100,000 in 2024. If I reach that $100,000, I may have thought in 2023 that would be enough for me. But once I get there, now I got to make $250,000 or $500,000, and the goal never really seems to stay put. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking about how stressful that can be, because it doesn't allow a person to be content. Right. If we remove contentment from our lives, then all of the efforts that we put into making money or whatever we do is in vain, because you can't enjoy it. And so, and we had actually talked about this on an earlier episode about the fact that freedom is, and I may be getting ahead of us, but we've talked about the fact that freedom is much more desirable to a mature mind, I think anyway, much more desirable to a mature mind than any particular dollar amount, you know what I mean? Right. In terms of, career aspirations. Right. The goal should be, for me, my goal is more to be able to take time off and do what I want, or be with my family on birthdays and graduations and all of these things, when other people may be locked, chained to their desk, you know what I mean? I can say, okay, well, since I've been blessed enough to be able to work for myself, I can say, okay, well, I know this day I have this event, so I'm going to adjust my schedule to move around it, and I don't have to check with anybody. Right. And so that freedom, regardless of whether I'm making $70,000 or $7 million a year, the freedom there is what really should be aspired to, I think.
That peace of mind.
Yeah, that peace of mind that comes with that, and being able to be content, have enough to, pay all bills and do some luxury stuff. I would like, let me be very clear, I would like to make all the money in the world. I would be fine with making buku amounts of money, but I understand that if that's my goal, it's one thing to be like, okay, I'm good with that. If it comes, I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna make as much as I can. But it's another thing to say this dollar amount or getting as much money as possible is my goal, because then that changes from saying I want to have a peaceful and enjoyable life to I want to dedicate all of my energy and resources to getting as much money as possible. And I think that's a foolish errand. Right. But anyway, I don't want to drag it out.
I think that's one of the pitfalls too, is because if you, when you start defining what that looks like and you set a dollar amount, you spend time stressing if you don't hit that amount.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it can make you aim for 7 million and you hit 6, which is probably more than most people need to survive, but you feel disappointed or let down or like you fell short some way because you didn't hit that 7 like you set out for. So I think it's definitely important to set those like contentment goals ahead of time and to find those ways to be satisfied.
Contentment goals, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, because I think that's probably more important. It should be what kind of precedes us setting a dollar amount.
Yeah,
to me,
I agree.
Right,
I agree.
That's what my mind goes.
Yeah,
I think whatever we tie our goals to, it should be synonymous with what your happiness, what your peace is. And money doesn't really do that.
Mm-hmm.
People with billions of dollars, man, are
that's so true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
So money cannot be the measure for your success. Is what your purpose, what drives your purpose, or what drives your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should tie success to areas of happiness, and it could be different areas of success in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be it with your health, be it with your free time, be it with how you spend time with people that you care about.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at it, time is what is fleeting.
It's the most valuable resource.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at what success really is for us as individuals, because I don't really look at success as me measuring myself against a standard across the board, because everybody is going to be different with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you should say, these are the things that I want to see for myself in like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Okay.
And then let that be, okay, these are the milestones of success for me. So to me, success are just different milestones in your life. You know, and then ultimately, the goal, because the goal for me also is just traveling, freedom, free to roam, free to fill my head with the knowledge of things that I want to know about.
Yes.
You know, dealing with my history, my people's history, and then things like that, you know. And so for me, that's what definitive success looks like. The freedom to travel and roam freely in this life, you know, until we leave, you know. And so I think when you put those types of markers on, it's not going to be a thing where you're going to move that. You're going to keep moving. You're going to just kind of flow in that.
Okay.
It's going to be the box that you put yourself in and that you want to live in. You can move freely with that. You can make the box bigger or smaller, but you don't have to have a goalpost that you have to keep moving and chasing. Because when you do that, next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm sick. I didn't take care of myself because I was focusing on that. Now the end is here, and I didn't really have fun.
Yeah, you lose quality of life if your priorities are out of order.
Exactly. Because I always think about this little snippet of an article I read years ago, and it always stuck with me about. They interviewed several people in nursing homes, because in nursing homes, man, there are people that were formerly billionaires and millionaires.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they're taking their last breaths, and somebody interviewed some of them. I mean, these were like CEOs, execs, people in government, things like that. And they said, if you could go back, what would you do differently? You know, and they always say something like, I wish I spent more time with my daughter, or I wish I could talk to my mom a little more, or I wish I treated my brother better. They would say stuff. It's always dealing around people. It's never about things. Because if you think about it, man, when you say if you just obtain $100 million right now, it just falls in your lap. You have that $100 million, but the misery that is attracted to that $100 million, the misery that money attracts, you don't want to be bothered with that. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to think about, I got to manage this money. I got to focus on taxes. I got to think about the people that I'm going to piecemeal this out to. That becomes a full-time job and a level of stress, and you're not enjoying yourself. So the money is not, and I think we in America and in this Western civilization, we capitalize on capitalism. And making money, getting that paper chase all our lives. And the thing is, we look back on it and be like, I never really was happy anyway. You know, I wanted to be like, you know, you say to yourself, you wanted to be like so-and-so, this celebrity, that celebrity. None of that's real. Other people's visions of success are not your vision. You know, it doesn't work for you. It's not tailor-made, you know, so.
It's important to create our own measuring stick. If we're using the measuring stick of social media or celebrity or, you know, popular news or whatever, we'll always fall short of that because like you said, a lot of that is smoke and mirrors. It doesn't exist in the way that it's presented to us. And even those who have the most affluent lifestyles, like you said, still have something that is missing in a lot of cases. And you made me think about when you were saying that they were interviewing millionaires and billionaires and people who were well-to-do. In their last moments, they don't think about those dollars. But what's crazy is neither do the people who live in poverty.
Exactly.
I've known people who have died with barely anything, you know what I mean? And in their last days, they're talking about what should have mattered the entire time. You know what I mean? Nobody leaves here and is concerned when you are leaving here. you get a sense, and this is just my speculation because I've never died before. Yeah. So, but from these interviews and things like that, and even just experiences that I've witnessed, in those last moments, that's the time when you realize what is and has been the most important. Yeah. And it's never anything that is not about love, family, companionship, friendship. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Those are the things that hold a human being together, in a sense. And anything else that comes along is extracurricular, so to speak. Yes. And so when you're at the last moment, I think there's a lesson to be taken. If that's what kind of why I'm dwelling on it. I think there's a lesson to be taken there because we shouldn't have to wait till our last moment to realize what was important for the last 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. Yeah. I think we should start now to realize what things are the most valuable and arrange our priorities in such a way where we go for those things. And the other things, we allow them to fall apart. I mean, fall apart, to fall into place as we, work hard and be diligent and be responsible and all of these things. Yeah. The priorities, though, have to be something that is meaningful. Right. You know what I mean?
I agree. And you find different means and different paths to get to that, whatever you identify as success. Because like you said, and what triggered my thought with that is, like you said, priorities. Like if I want to be at a certain state in life or a certain stage in this season, there are things that I have to do to get there. I can't just say, I want to be rich. I worked with a guy, he's always be like, I just want to be rich. I'm like, yeah, but right now you don't have anything. We're working in the mailroom together. You don't have anything. So like, if you were to become rich, what would you do? Yeah. You'd probably be broke in about a week or two. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the goal can never be, I just want stuff. I want to be rich. And I think I got one of my good friends, Jermaine James. He's a gospel lyricist, and he had a beautiful song out some years ago called "Run from Fame." It's really a good song because it really talks about how we need to not focus on the trappings of this life as it relates to becoming, successful, becoming recognized, and reaching notoriety. Right. It doesn't. It's fleeting. It doesn't matter because ultimately, in the end, I think many paths, as we have seen, when it comes to fame, it leads to despair and destruction, For sure. And so the ultimate goal should be more so how we treat one another, how we treat our brother, how we treat our sister, the people that gave us life, our parents. Right. Yeah. How we treat these people. Right. Because when you think about it, why else are we here, man? We're here for one another. That's right. And that should be a part of your measure of success, ultimately, because nothing else really matters in the end. Again, if you gasping for your last breath, you're not like, take me to the casino. Take me to
that last bet went
right. Roll that again for me. You're not thinking that. You're thinking like, man, I wish I could call my mom. George Floyd was calling for his mother. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, really think about that. That dude wasn't looking for a hit. He wasn't looking for something to drink, something to eat. He just said, mama, mama. And when you think about that, that lets you know in his most rawest human form, when we are at our most broken down, rawest form, which ultimately is when we're dying, what are you really going to think about? Yes. What are you really going to think about? Yes. And so the thing is, when you have these forethoughts, when you're forward thinking in your life and you think down the road, like if I was at the checkout right now, if I saw a bus coming towards me right now and I couldn't move, what would be my thought? If I'm falling off a cliff, what am I thinking about? And so if you think about that down the road, you'll say, well, right now I don't want to have any regrets. So if I have people that I need to bury the axe with, let me do that. People that I care about. Not a lousy neighbor or something like that. Yeah. Somebody you care about.
That sounded personal.
It is, right? If you have, a family member or a friend or somebody that you care about that you want to clear something up with, it's worth doing it now because you don't know when their time is, you don't know when your time is. Yeah. To me, that's a part of success. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's a milestone in life where you say, that's my success. And the song says like morning by morning, new mercies I see. Yeah. But you think about it, morning by morning, new victory you can have too. Yeah. Every day you get up, it can be a victory. That can be success. Yes. Because when you compound that over a lifetime, it's like, man, I have no regrets. Yes. There are people out there, man, when they die, they're like, I have no regrets because I treated my wife. Yes. I treated my mother. Yes. Well, I was there for my mother when she was dying, or I was there for my father when he was dealing with what he was dealing with. And when you reach the end of your life, The success really is when you can look at yourself and say, while you hooked up to IVs or whatever it is you're dealing with, you can honestly say, Lord, I'm ready because I did what I needed to do. And that to me is the ultimate measure of success.
And that's a perk, dog. It couldn't have been any better said any better. Because I was getting ready to ask, okay, so how can we lead the discussion in a way that takes the focus off of finances and into exactly what you're talking about? Because success shouldn't just be isolated to, whatever our bank balance is. You know what I mean?
It never should be. I mean, we all making money.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? We can all make money. We all have the potential to make money. We can with our abilities, we can make money. That's not the problem here. The thing is like, where is our time going while we're making money?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing with our time? Because time is fleeting, man. I mean, you really look at it, man. I mean, the construct of time that we find ourselves in is fleeting. Yeah. We are aging. And so we have to look at what do we want to do of significance. I want you to talk.
No, you fine. Yeah. I'm just enjoying y'all talk because I was thinking about the two words that when you were saying success, I was thinking about maintenance and management. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Those are the two things that I started thinking about. Because when I'm gonna go back to the money part, the finance part, that has a lot to do with maintenance, right? Like really checking and making sure and evaluating that maintenance and management, right? Because the maintenance part would be more of, the technical way of approach of understanding money to begin with, right? Because I don't know if society has conditioned us properly to understand what finances are. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people, like you said, that what are you going to do if you had $100,000 or $100 million right now? You want to blow it, right? Because you haven't been conditioned to really understand what money is to begin with. And until we educate ourselves to understand how to manage it, and the maintenance behind it, I think you're going to fail, and the whole society is going to follow with that. Your society, your culture, or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I mean. So, and to go back to the spiritual realm, like when you really understand. So, I think ain't there a scripture that says about money? It talks about wisdom. Money is a defense. And wisdom is a defense. That's what scripture says, right? So you have to look at money as a way of a defense, right? Money, to me, this is me. We've always looked at money as to get something. Everything that I have right now, the money that I've used, and I'm not saying that I'm great at it. I'm actually not really good, but I'm getting better with it. And I think that that's another thing is that when you see the gaps, you fill that gap with wisdom, so you won't have to fail over and over again.
There lies success.
You see what I'm saying, right? So when it comes to money, it's supposed to defend you, so you don't have to bug your neighbor or have to ask. It defends you in that way, right? It's just like wisdom. Wisdom does the exact same thing. You know what I mean? So if you look at finances in the construct of the world, where that's the construct that we're born in, and you would fail following that same type of structure and in the setting,
It's not meant for the masses to be successful with it.
Listen, I go to a job, right? And we always say, well, I'm grateful for my job. It don't matter. Right. You see what I'm saying? It don't matter. You know how because people be saying like, are you thankful for your job? That's not the point. The point is that we haven't been conditioned to reach a goal to be successful like you're talking about. And the goal has nothing to do with the money. The goal should be a comfort and to understanding what the freedom and liberty that you have in life itself, in your soul. Right. That's the whole idea. If I go to a job and I'm making $250,000 a year, $300,000 a year, do I still have peace with that? No, because you got somebody that you have to answer to. I got CEOs that I know now that 5 years ago, they had a head of hair. Now they don't. Because it's the stress level has stripped them of life. You see what I'm saying? Them of life. So the whole idea is that's the reason why I applaud Gary for his moves going on, because as a young man,
He's here.
Basically.
I love it.
Basically.
That stress level made it out, boy.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it does.
So when you look at that stress level, because I'm telling you, like even me, like being a quality engineer in the automotive industry, that stuff most people they drink their life because that's the way they relieve the stress. They smoke, they relieve it, and with those substances and different things like that, whatever, it does take away life from you. You know what I'm saying? Rather, it's you look at it as a way of an escape. You know what I'm saying? But actually, it actually depletes life and health.
It's an escape from life.
Yeah.
You're
You relieve
trading
yourself of life much easier.
Yeah, you're trading the quality of your life for quality engineering.
Yeah. So just to end my thought right now, I think it's a very good thing to establish like what life is. And if you're comparing yourself to what other people have, you've already fooled yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well said.
And excess is not success. You know, I think more so if we can master selflessness, that is success.
Yeah.
Selfishness robs you of the successes of this life. If you can be selfless, then that puts you on the path at least of success. Because honestly, man, most people, if you look at it, that are successful are serving in some capacity. The CEOs, the execs, they provide services, they provide applications, solutions every day that we use daily all the time to make our lives easier. Those are service functions. That's selflessness that ultimately leads to success. This is an example of a high level example.
And I think that is the key that I was trying.
He's at it again.
Go ahead.
Done.
That's
just now, I was thinking about the CEO part, right? You know, if you're a CEO of a business that you have done and you've created in your own mind, like there's nothing greater than that. Is there stresses there? Yeah, but it's a good type of stress. You see what I'm saying? Because that's a stress that you chose to take on because of your I guess choice of the business that you started or begun, the goals. Man, it's a good stress. So not, I don't even know what a type of a good stress is. I mean, but I think you understand what I'm saying, because it's not somebody else's. Like right now, the stresses that you take on from another company, you have no control over that other than walking out the door and saying I'm done and quitting. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think that when you talk about, like you were saying earlier about the freedoms and different things like that, and I like what you're doing with your RV tribe. You know, I love that, because you're saying some goals, and to me, that's an example. You see what I'm saying? When I see you do that type,
we're witnessing success.
We're witnessing, man, that passion, that love, that desire of travel and different things like that. That's something that we all should take part of, instead of taking the easy route, because what you're doing is not easy. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's really, because a lot of times people are too afraid to walk and take a step from a job and do something that they really feel they can do, and that's about a step of faith, a leap of faith of just going out and just saying, you know what, I don't know where this step is going to take me, but I'm gonna do it. Many of us need to start exercising that more and more in our lives.
I think it's important to allow yourself to see it, though. Don't ever box yourself in. I love the conversations we've had, because you simply are not going to allow yourself to be boxed in. Just throw a lot of stuff out there and see what sticks. You know, because people have told us what they think success should be. At one point, working 30 years at Chrysler was successful. Right. You know, and it's like, that's not even, in our lifetime, that's not even a thought. No. 30 years at one job.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. And then even when it was, those guys were alcoholics. They were abusing their wives.
They didn't see their
3 and 4 different families, if they saw their families at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of, and the term quality of life has been sticking with me ever since you said it earlier. Or one of us said it. There was a lot less, and I don't want to be too general, because I'm sure there are some people who had very good lives from that type of work and that type of career. But
definitely,
I know that I personally have witnessed people who have had jobs like that, or heard stuff third person or whatever, that didn't have great quality of life in their homes and just in their own minds. A lot of those guys were suicidal, and just it was so much more happening, which shows that if this is your goal, if you allow the important things to fall by the wayside and you focus on the wrong thing, then your quality of life diminishes. And then what is the value of this at the end of the day?
Right.
What is the value of reaching for the golden apple if, you on your way there, you pull out all your teeth or something? You know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose?
It pulls you away from what your idea of success would be, too.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, true.
If you're at the bottom if you're looking up at the bottom, then it's no way you can really see for yourself what success would look like. There are a lot of people in our group, in our families, people that look like us that simply can't see living across 8 Mile, man.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They can't see living north of 8 Mile.
Right.
Like they feel like if they get close to 8 Mile and they get a house like right there, then they're good. They're successful. I mean, now if you're happy about that, that's fine.
All right, that's what I was about to
That's
say.
absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But don't. So my thing is with that, if that's your measure of success, I won't judge you. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
If you're happy, I'm happy.
Exactly.
But don't look at me and say, you need to be doing this too, man. You know what I'm saying? They got some good houses over here.
Right.
So I don't want to live by 8 Mile. I want to live beyond that. And that's me. Don't be mad at me for it, though. So that's where we get into, we can't compare what our definitions of success are. We all have because our own perceptions are our reality. So I can't say what is good for me is going to be good for you. I can't say that. What is good for you may not be, I may not even be interested in it. So, we come together like this and talk about these things to provoke thought for others. Because, and what we want everybody to know amongst us, there would never be any kind of envy or, being jealous or anything like that. Because we all are individuals living our lives as individuals, and then we come together and we are under unity like this. And that to me as another form of success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people simply cannot do that. You can have a group of guys like this, and one of them is looking over like, yeah, Mike, he think he could do wood better than me, It's like I'm not even interested.
You can do wood better than
I'm not even interested in being what you are, but I'm comparing your success to my lack. Like that doesn't even work.
Yeah.
Like it's people that'll be mad about you about something that you're doing.
Right.
It's like you don't even want that though.
Right. I'm gonna be honest. If G blows up in the next few months, I'm gonna be jealous.
If G blows up,
Not even gonna lie. I'm
G-
quitting the podcast and everything.
Right. If G blew up
Right.
tomorrow and left and moved his family, I'll be very happy for him.
Yeah.
That
that makes
how,
one of us.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm just-
Right.
I'm just-
But that's honestly how I feel about my people. Yeah,
no,
like,
I'm just kidding.
Right. If you win and
goodness.
you move, I would just be inspired.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, I have another place to go visit. We got some good friends. They were talking about moving to Belize. We love hanging out.
Wow, that's what's up.
But I'm like, if y'all did that, that'd just be another place we have to
Yeah.
visit. That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you move to the West Coast, wherever you go,
Right.
well, that's another place I'm coming to visit.
love
So
Yeah.
that's how you look at being successful is I don't compare myself.
Yes.
I have my own abilities.
I have my own measuring stick.
Yeah, I have my own abilities. Like I'm happy, like just being able to travel with my wife.
Yeah.
Like just a simple, quiet life like that. A lot of guys, man, some of these you could look up some of like these older rock stars or older CEOs when they leave the limelight. That's literally all they do. They'll get them an apartment in New York and just travel,
Yeah.
and you won't even hear from them anymore.
Right.
Because it's like ultimately, in the end, that's really all that matters.
Right.
You don't have the confines and trappings of what wealth brings.
Yeah.
It's just a full-time job. You got to manage that stuff. And people don't really think about that. They think about... So it was a documentary. I got to remember the name of it. I'll share it with you guys. It was about people that won the lottery.
Okay.
And it's very
I've
sad.
seen it.
You
I've
saw
heard
it.
of that.
Exactly. It's very sad and tragic, actually.
Okay.
Because it ruined like literally all of their lives.
Yeah.
Nobody had a good story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It altered the trajectory of their happiness. And I'm sure when they got that big ticket, they were like, this is going to be great. I mean, I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. But ultimately, it just brings along, like I said earlier, it's the trappings and what money attracts. It just has a tendency beyond your own power to attract misery.
Yeah.
You don't want it. You fight it off. You don't even look for it. It just finds you. And that's what happened with a lot of these stories. It was very sad, very sad. But you saw it. Yeah. And so that's why we can't. And I'm not to say like earn money, make money. If you win some money, have a plan for it. Get an accountant, get an attorney. That's fine. But we should never in this life say, I'm just trying to get paid, man.
Right.
Like, I'm just trying to get this money.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you don't even think about anything else. Like, you don't think about family or friends or just you got a sick loved one that needs you. You like, I'm trying to get this money. I can't even come see you because I'm out here trying to get this money.
Yeah.
That's not success. To me, that's not successful. Now, somebody else, they may be happy with that. But for me,
they'll be happy with it for a time.
Yeah.
There's no way you can, that happiness or semblance of happiness is not real, number one. And then number two, it's fleeting. You know what I mean?
Right. I think it's a trap. I think it's actually detrimental.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of intentional to make people be that focused on achieving wealth or a certain dollar amount, right? Because it's like you were saying, it's so many people who don't have any diligence and wisdom in what they already have today. You know what I mean? It's like if you can't manage the little bit of money you have today correctly, like you said, what are you going to do if you do hit a lottery, if you do hit $100 million? If you don't know how to manage it and what having that money means as far as how to keep it, it's going to slip through your fingers.
Right.
Exactly.
And we've had that conversation, I know, a lot about reparations too. It's like, I don't want anybody talking about reparations before there's been a lot of financial education happening within the community.
Exactly.
Because without that, it would go right back into the hands of people.
Cadillac dealership.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It goes
It's
very
real.
It is so true, though.
Yes.
It is so true. He hit the nail on the head. And that's why the man is such a genius comedian, because what he portrayed, and I actually had memorized what episode that was for a while, because it hit me that hard. It's like, that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
That's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so if there's no plan there for those finances, it will literally go back right to the system.
Right through your
like the
fingers.
next day.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing though, when putting that emphasis on having that dollar amount or reaching status, but in terms of wealth, those same people know that's a trap, that there's no happiness there.
Right.
And it's like when you can look at how many people actually are at that dollar amount that you want, that have really found happiness or define happiness the same way that you do. It's a trap.
It is.
Define happiness the same way. Wow.
Yeah, it's like, because it's like if you're looking at comparing it with somebody else is doing, and maybe they're on, a lot of people in Hollywood, they're on like their 6th or 7th marriage or whatever, you know what I mean? If that's kind of instability, that's not appealing to anybody, I don't think. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if those are the things that come along with it, you got to think, is that really what I want to be pressing for? Is that really what I want to spend all my time and all my life and all my days chasing after, when I see so many people that have achieved it and what they're doing with it or how they're living with it or what it's brought on for them is not something that I would want in my life? You got to think, maybe I should be looking at something different. Maybe I should be setting my aspirations somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I think it's a trap, and the people that tell us to be chasing after like that know it's a trap, and the people that are talking about giving that kind of money out to people know it's a trap. They know it's not going to stay. They know it's not going to stick with that community. So it's no threat whatsoever. Right. Something like that would be, hey, Dave, let me stop.
You on a roll, G.
Go
you a free man on a roll.
It would be a huge boost to the economy, but not to the black community.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
huge boost. It would be a stimulus check to retailers everywhere.
Yeah. So let me think. Walmart would be ransacked.
Right.
Nike, Jordans, they wouldn't be able to press them fast enough.
Yep.
And it's one other one.
Stuff that has zero value.
Yeah.
It's all status stuff. It's all trappings.
It is.
Right.
And people, it would actually, reparations probably will ruin families.
I think it would.
It would
right now.
Yes.
Right now.
For sure.
Without what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
because I'm all for reparations as long as it's done
the right way.
Done the right way.
But I think doing it the right way necessitates financial education as to proceed, because it would not have anywhere near the kind of effect and benefit that it should if it's not received with financial education.
Right.
If you can't manage, if you don't know how to balance your checkbook right now, if you don't know how to, you know what I'm saying? Okay.
I'm just playing, bro.
Balance your accounts. You know what I'm saying? Just if you can't keep money in your pocket, in your account, the way things stand right now, if you can't fend off your creditors, if you can't if you don't know how to properly invest, where your money's going to, things like that, if you can't do those things with the little bit that you have right now, you know how many more vultures are going to come in once you hit the jackpot? You know what I'm saying? This is like, you got people that are going to parade themselves and defraud you every which way you turn, because you're going to be a source of potential income, especially if they know you're not wise with that money.
Yeah.
They're going to see you as an easy target, as an easy mark, because I can come in under the guise of anything that I know that you're seeking for that's precious to you and tell you I can give that to you. Just hand me a little bit of your money.
Yeah.
Financial education too sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I can help you manage your money before you know where's all my money. Oh, well, it went to this place, it went to that place. You have no idea because you trusted somebody else to do what you didn't know how to do. Learn how to do that first. If you're going to spend your time doing something, don't spend it chasing money or thinking about how much you don't have. Think about ways to be more wise with what you do have, because that's going to be the kind of thing that leads to wealth. You know what I mean? You being a good steward of what you have is going to lead you to more wealth, because you're going to be protecting it and dealing with it in a way that's going to protect you and have the defense there that money is meant to be used for. If you're not wise with it, you're defenseless. So it's not about how much you have. It's about if I'm not wise with whatever I have today, I'm not going to be wise with whatever comes to me tomorrow.
Yeah, if I'm leaning on payday loans.
That's right.
Today, then I probably don't need reparation.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm taking my check, or I don't even know how that works. Like the payday loan thing.
It's robbery.
Yeah,
robbery.
it's terrible. It's a real tax on the poor, because I think they take their cut as like 13%. I heard.
I think it's bigger than that.
Yeah,
I think it's bigger than that, if I'm not mistaken.
And they'll give it to you like a week in advance.
Yeah,
They take their cut, and
Yikes.
it's like terrible, man.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I had to. Yeah, once you started, it's hard to get out of it. I had to do it before, and it was a pain.
Rough. Yeah.
It was a pain, because trying to get out of that after you're in it, because for whatever you take out, you have to go back and pay it back in a certain period of time, and you're paying back. Like if you take out, it's like 6 something, you're going back and you're paying an extra $200 or $300 on top of that when you go back and pay it back in a couple of weeks. It's just once you get in, dependent on that, you can't get off of it.
It's a bad trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a very good point you're making, man. Just money management is definitely a good path to success.
Yeah.
Just educating yourself on finances, understanding how money works, the system of things that want to separate you from your money.
Yes.
Learning about those things, and it's a million vices out there to separate you from your money.
Yes, it is.
You know, and we have to focus on another path to success is focusing on really what you need versus what you want.
Yeah.
If you can separate,
I think making that the goal, not the path.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Being able to define what it is that makes you happy, and being able to be wise with what you have, and let that be the definition of success, not how much is in my bank account.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because again, you're not going to stay there. If you don't know what to do with it, you're not going to stay at whatever you call a success right now.
That is a very good point. Yes. So that, I think you're right. That has to be the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once you allow yourself to really focus on those things,
for sure.
And because there are all kinds of distractions.
Definitely. Absolutely.
You know, if you're on social media, because unfortunately these younger minds, they're on social media and they're measuring themselves against things. It's simply not real, though.
Yeah, for sure. It's not.
And then with the advent and the explosive advancement of AI technology, the altered reality is going to get even more altered. And the lies are going to really fog people's minds on how they want to obtain success, or what success is for them, or what it means for them. Because you have to ask yourself, you have to literally look in the mirror and say, what does success mean to me?
That's
not what it means to Diddy or anybody like that. What does it mean to me? Because that's what I'm going to have to live with. I can't live up to what that man is doing over there. I have to say to myself, what do I want to see every day for myself? And what do I want to see every day from myself?
That's right.
Once you figure that out,
right,
that's a good walk to be on.
For sure.
You know?
For sure.
And you have to really allow yourself to train your mind to focus on that.
I think that's a great point. In my mind, I'm trying to think what comes before that, because it's easy for somebody like you or me who has spent a decent amount of time thinking about what is really important in life to stand in front of the mirror and say, I want this for my life. This is what I want from myself and for myself, like you just said. But like you just mentioned, the minds that are being captivated by the fraudulent reality that is social media,
it's not real,
popular culture, and all that. How do I get a mind like that to get to the point where they even realize what they should be looking for? Because if I take a 16-year-old, 18-year-old young man that is always scrolling on his phone or whatever, and ask him, what is it that you want for yourself? What is it that you want from yourself in life and in your everyday living? it's going to be, almost all the time, it's going to be a reflection of what they've seen or heard in the way that we entertain ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do I take first of all, that knowledge that that's the case, and then take that mind and say, listen, how, like, I want to be able to say to you, this is the path from where you stand to a better understanding of your own self, of the way life works, of, you know, all of these things. Yes. How do we get there? Because it's easy for us we can sit around and pass this ball back and forth between us all day. Yeah. But the goal has to be, in my mind, the goal has to be to share the understanding that life is much more than chasing a bag from birth to death. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. A part of it is what we're doing here. You know what I mean? It's just putting out a counter example to what they see on social media, because you can't fast forward maturity. Yeah,
that, man,
you know,
that's really good.
I was focused on those things a lot, like when I was in my late teens, early 20s too. You know what I mean? It's like, and it would have taken a lot. It took time, ultimately. You know what I mean, for me to kind of level set and realize that's not what's important. And I think, you know, again, it's the maturity process. You can't do anything more than put a counterpoint out there of, we found a measure of happiness without having excessive wealth. Because, like you said, I love that the excess is not success. You know what I mean? Without having excessive wealth, we found a means of happiness and satisfaction and feeling some kind of accomplishment in your life. You know what I mean? Because, and that's where I think the emphasis has to go, like I said, in terms of like being wise with what you have, but also something that a lot of young people may not think about. I think this was you and I talking about it the other day, was about legacy. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing I think I would ask a young person to start thinking about. You can't force them to, but if you ask them that question, like, what do you want to be remembered for? If you were to die today, what would people say about you when you were gone? What do you want them to say? And is what you want them to say going to line up to what they would say? And if not, how do you get there? You know what I mean? What do you want to be remembered about you once you're gone? And that's what I think is a more important means of success. And I can think about for all of you, you know what I mean? Like the work that you do, you're helping people get stuff done, repairing the house, increasing the value of the house, fixing things they don't know how to fix. And that brings you satisfaction, and serving others. You feel fulfilled in what you're doing. And the art that you give to people, that they have a dead relative and you're giving them artwork to bring that picture to life and bringing that dead relative into that memory that maybe they weren't there, and that's fulfilling to people. And I know people have called you about your music, and I was going through a real hard time and your music helped me through. Those kind of things are fulfilling to people, you know what I mean? That I can say when I'm gone, I can be remembered for having done something to help somebody else, or to make this place better than it was when I found it, you know, better than the way I found it.
I love that.
And that's the kind of thing I think we got to focus on. Like, think about, what do you want your memories to be, or the memory of you to be, and what do you want to accomplish? What are you going to find satisfactory? What are you going to find fulfilling that you can do with your time? It's not going to just be, I hit $100 million and that's what I'm like. Is that all you want to be remembered about? You die rich? You died, you know, mimicking what you saw LeBron and Kobe and all these other people do once they got a bag. Is that it? You know what I mean?
I think also that there should be just one question that comes before that, and it's just, and it may sound corny and cliche, but it's define your purpose.
Yes.
Really, because absolutely. if you can spark that mind, because this is why the suicide rate, whatever that is, is what it is.
Yes.
Because people don't have hope in what their purpose is.
Right.
And so if you can, because you see, my father and my mother, they helped us young figure out where we want to land, like what we want to be, how we want to be seen. My father was big on presentation.
That's what's up.
How you present yourself, how you speak, eye contact, things like that.
Right.
And if you can shape a kid's mind to really hone in on a purpose, like my sister-in-law, her son, she exposes him to a lot. It's a lot of exposure to different things, be it sports, be it an instrument, be it tech, be it art. So the kid has options in his mind, in his young mind. I think he's like 11 or 12 now. He has options in his mind to say, I got things I'm interested in. And I can just choose one and land on it.
Right.
Whatever my abilities, whatever my mind can make room for. It is up to parents, and it's up to the community to expose kids to the right things. And we can beat technology doing that. You know, you have to be it's about the humanity of raising a child.
For sure.
You have to be intentional in what you're doing with that human life.
Right.
Because all they are
That's
is little adults.
That's what's up.
And in 18 years, they're going to, we see how fast 18 years goes.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be a person that's talking back to you with their own mind. And whatever they say to you is what you put in them. It's not what you allow to be put in them.
Right.
It's not anybody's fault. We can't say the community didn't help my baby.
Right.
The community didn't do this. No, it's about what you did. Because, I mean, we can all say definitively the impact, whether it was small or great, that our parents had on us.
For sure.
We can say that with definitiveness. And if they weren't there, or whether they were or not, that impacted you some kind of way. So you have to say in your mind to that child, and you have to say it with intent. You have to lock eyes with them. Even your peers that may be around your age, and they're still trying to find their way. Because there's people still trying to find their way right now. You know what I'm saying?
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to say to them, have you ever thought about defining what your purpose is for yourself? Don't look at that man. Don't look at that man.
Right.
Just do introspect. Because I think that's what tech, cell phones, tablets, that's what is robbing us of.
Yes, it does.
Is being introspective. And just looking within my own soul and saying, what is in my soul that makes me want to live? So if you get a kid to ask themselves that, and that's not a hard question to let a 5-year-old answer for themselves, or a 6, just say, what in your little soul makes you want to live? And if you can get that spark in them at that age, they'll be okay. Because you got to get that wheel, get the gears turning, and don't sit them somewhere with a tablet or a cell phone while you go off and do your thing. And they're on a tablet or cell phone for like 8 or 9 hours. And they look at YouTube, and then that's what defines what they want to believe their purpose is. And when that fails them, and they don't have that anymore because they were never allowed to be introspective, then it's flatlining after that. So your point is gold, but I think to get it to the point where they can digest it, just have to say to yourself, if you had to think about a purpose or something in mind that you feel like you're good at, something that gives you life, what would it be?
Right.
Because a lot of these actors and people that live life after that success, these sports figures, man, they're doing great things. It's like a soccer player. I think he's Senegalese or Nigerian. This guy's taking all his money and he's building schools, everything in his community.
That's awesome.
Because he's like, because he walks around with a cracked phone. And people are like, why you walk? He was like, none of this matters.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
The guy is building schools, stores, churches in his hometown.
Wow.
And the thing is, he explained it in depth. He was like, none of this means anything if I can't give back to my people, the people that raised me, and allow me the success. Because he's like one of the biggest soccer players out right now. You can easily look him up. I can't remember his name. But that's what life is about.
Right.
But somewhere along the lines, that kid, he was a kid that saw something in his community that made him remember, and he was able to go back, and that's his purpose. Now his purpose is, I'm just giving.
For sure.
I've reached the level of success to where I can just be a blessing to others, and now I found my purpose.
Right.
So once you find your purpose, man, whatever it is, there's nothing more fulfilling than that.
That's right.
And a lot of people find it through philanthropy and things like that.
That's right.
I think one of the most critical, first of all, that was well said. I think one of the most important points in that your monologue was the term exposure. I find that I deal with young people a lot, and I find that those who are exposed to things outside of just their neighborhood and what's on TV, exposed to other cultures, exposed to travel and being in different places and seeing how other people live, spiritual exposure, church or mass or whatever it might be, synagogue. Those are the ones who tend to excel in terms of relationships, dare I say intelligence, and a lot of other factors, and then they end up growing up to be the people, like you said, with the most options. And that is success in and of itself. Having options is success. That's, you know what I mean? The more money you have, the more options you have. The more free you are, the more options you have. And that's exactly what success really looks like. In order, for me anyway, I think that freedom to have options defines success pretty straight on. But a lot of times we see like you said, we see parents, and I'm not a parent, so I'm speaking humbly, but a lot of times we see parents, like you said, they'll sit a child down and then YouTube is raising them, or Ryan from YouTube is raising them, or Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, whatever. There's nothing wrong with any of these things, but I think that it's important to remember that we, as a generation that is raising, because it takes a village. We, as a generation that are raising children, raising the generation that comes behind us, we have to think about how important it is that we have a hand in that. You know what I mean? My job raising you shouldn't be to just make sure that you have the tablet after you break it. I go and get you another one here. You sit down and don't bother me for a few hours. You know what I mean? That's fine, in spurts, I guess, but making sure that we expose our children to things that we know and things that we don't know is so critical, because I've seen it over and over and over. I was talking to a young man in a class that I teach, and his father's black and his mother's I think Dominican, and I remember being struck by how intelligent this young man is. And he was just telling me, and this guy's in 8th grade. He's a kid. He's 13 years old. And he was telling me about some of the experiences that he's had and all this kind of stuff. And I'm noticing that the more he talks, the more the people around him kind of just sit back and fall back, because they have no frame of reference for the things that he's been exposed to. And so this kid can go and now he can talk to this person, this CEO over here, or he can apply for this job over here, or he can fill out this scholarship here and speak on things that he's experienced in his life that make him a candidate for whatever it is that he wants to do. You know what I mean? And so just those types of stories, I've seen it over and over and over. It's my story. It's your story. It's our story. We've seen this thing because we've been raised by people that exposed us to different things, and we grew up to have more options than maybe the guy that grew up next door to us, or the guy that sit behind us in class. You know what I mean? That exposure, man, that's a heavy one right there. I mean, that's a very, very important thing to remember.
Yeah, the beauty of exposure is just like the camera that's recording us, exposure gives us the clarity. And like you said, frame of reference, frame of focus that you need to see what it is, the path that you need to go down. That's the beauty of having that type of a focus. That exposure, it gives you that light that you need, and it's a right balance to it, because you expose the kids to too much too fast, they become overwhelmed and get discouraged. It's just the right balance. Put them a little bit over here, because my parents, they put me in like a painting class.
Yeah, me too.
I was young. They put me in a painting class, and I looked at my painting. I was like, this looks like crap. Their painting looks better. As a kid, you do that type of stuff, but that's exposure though. And then as you get older, you kind of develop in your own lane, because you say to yourself, well, I know what my abilities are. Because even in drawing now, I was telling myself a few years ago, I was like, man, these hyper-realistic artists are pretty amazing.
They are crazy.
It's insane. And I thought to myself, do I even want to be that good? Because the thing is, I don't...
Is that my goal line?
Yeah, right. I actually asked myself that, because I'm like, their stuff is like, literally looks like a black and white photo. And nobody's going to believe that you drew that. And sometimes, so what they do is they'll post a video of themselves drawing it, and they have a very steady, patient hand. So I said to myself, I'm going to be the best artist that I want to be for myself. And so kind of the thing about art is you have to a lot of times let it take ownership of your ability, and it kind of guides your hand. And then when the piece is done, it's done. You can't. I'm gonna just keep doing it, because then next thing you know, the paper is wearing out. I'm gonna keep just doing. My ability is my ability, and I think that's what exposure ultimately brings you back to. It's like I've seen the world, I've seen enough at a young age. Now I can be introspective now and say to myself, okay, I see everything everybody else is doing now. Where do I want to fall? With all that I've seen, where do I want my abilities and my gifts to land? Because I have abilities, I have gifts. Every child has that. But it's about what you expose them to that allows that to become unlocked. And so once you allow them that and they come back home, then they say to themselves, okay, now I have a frame of reference of all that's going on out there. And I want to look at what I have to offer to the party. As an individual. Like, you're not comparing yourselves, because you look at that man over there, that young lady over there, they have their focus in this thing. Now, let me see where I can land in it. And I think over time, as you allow those types of thought processes to develop, You become an adult, and you can say, okay, I fired my boss. This is what I'm about to do. Because see, we live in a time, and this is a beautiful thing, where a corporation and our role or our title in that job is not our identity.
Right.
Even a title in church, it's not my identity. My identity is what I define it to be, not what somebody. I'm not my employee number. I mean, come on, I barely can remember my employee number because it's not my identity. Your identity is, if you leave your job right now, if you get let go from it, what are you going to do with your time? If you're afforded the opportunity right now to retire, what are you going to do with your time? And that's how you create your own identity and then purpose. So
that's right.
Yeah.
What you guys are talking about is something that's really been on my mind, about like really stepping out on faith, man, and really understanding that whatever your heart is driving you to do, for the good, of course, man, it's going to come to pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, the purpose that you're talking about right there is ideal to establish in a young mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to start thinking, okay, they might not even know the definition of what purpose is.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
It don't
sure.
matter.
Right.
Get them thinking
Subconsciously, subconsciously
Plant
it's
the
there.
seeds.
You know what I mean? Plant that seed, because then she gonna say, or he gonna say, man, I remember when dad or cousin or uncle or auntie was telling me that. And I think that society, once again, you got to look at society in its entirety. Is AI is raising our kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's an issue. And I think to myself, like, the way AI is developed right now, from the speed of the information that is out there, it's at a rapid pace. You're right. You can ask them something, and immediately within 0.000000001 second, you got what you want, right? But that still doesn't make that AI better than me. You know what I mean? Because I can actually, and once again, like I don't know too much about AI, but I understand. I think I can understand it. The thing about from the individual itself is the learning from the sufferings, the pain, and I can develop and get better with that. That's the reason why I was thinking about maintenance and management. And I think that was success, maintenance, exposure, management. That's all in this conversation. Those are key systems that we have to put in the forefront of our mind. If you establish a good system of operation and thinking, then you can get where you need to go. You know what I mean?
That's very true.
And the mechanics behind it. And that's the thing about it. The reason why I was saying maintenance is because you have the touch point. You know what I'm saying? The management is the system, right? That falls. The management is the overall way of going, the process. But the maintenance is touching. I'm touching it. I'm hitting where I want to go. I'm looking at it every day. You know what I'm saying? I see my whiteboard. I'm touching it. That's that kind of